Nation. It is great to be a Gator. It is great to be the host of this podcast, The Young and the Rowdies. What a blessing it's been to connect with former Gators. Here on the podcast, The Young and the Rowdies, we give you everything Florida basketball and more, interviewing former coaches, players, current players, you name it. If they had something to do with Florida basketball, we're going to have them on the show. Thank you guys so much for the support. I want to remind you to please continue to share, subscribe, and just get this podcast out to everyone else that you think will be interested. Also, please follow the Field of 68 Media Network. Subscribe. Please, it's the network that has helped to make this thing possible for me, getting it out there to the world. Without further ado, let me tell you, I'm really, really excited for our next guest. He has a history of breaking nets, if you know what I mean. Anyways, my guy that's coming up into this next show, I'm not going to let you know who he is, but let's just say that he's a pinpoint. He's a dead shot. He doesn't miss. Anyways, without further ado, not only is this guy, is he a great shooter, but a great person. It was a really awesome show. We get into a lot of fantastic stories on his journey, all the way from Tennessee coming to becoming a Gator, one of the most recognized Gators of all time. And let's get into the show. Without further ado, I am so excited for our next very special guest. You guys know him all as the sniper, as one of the most lethal shooters out there. You don't want to leave this man wide open. Even now to this day, I'm sure he can knock down 95 out of 100, maybe all 100 three-pointers. Lee Humphrey is joining us on this segment, this show of The Young and the Rowdies. Lee, how you doing, my man?
I'm good, Pat. Hey, that was too kind of an intro.
I honestly, I think it would just wait till you hear the real intro. I do the real intro before the show starts. I'm gonna let everybody know how great of a shooter and just a person that you are, and just how humble you are, man. It's just the time that I've got to spend with you. I'm just like, man, this is just such a great human being. And not only is he good at basketball, but he's just awesome at being a good person. And just thankful that I get this opportunity to not only for me personally get to see more into the life of Lee Humphrey and what you've gone through, but also be able to share your journey with the world and everyone else. So all the way from Maryville, Tennessee, that's a long way from, well, not so far away, but, how did you end up in Gainesville?
In Gainesville, it's a long story. I mean, I grew up a Tennessee fan. I think most people know that. 20 minutes outside of Knoxville. I used to go to football games with my dad. We'd buy tickets from scalpers on the street. We'd go to basketball games. He was a coach, so we could get tickets over at Thompson Bowling. So I grew up around the SEC, really, and was a Tennessee fan. But in my eyes, Florida was always, they were kind of the hot school. They had Teddy Dupay, Mike Miller, Udonis Haslam, Final Four run. I remember watching him against Michigan State. I was actually in the gym shooting while that game was on with the TV on the side. So whenever I got the word from Coach Donovan, they were interested. It didn't take too much. To me, it was Kentucky and Florida as the cream of the crop in the SEC.
Well, let's not get too far ahead. I want to go back to the beginning because, I do believe that a lot of people have a lot of talent in this world, but also there's a lot of hard work and just the grind to be able to achieve excellence. A lot of people don't see the grind and the journey someone goes through to get to where they are and they see the fruit, they see the results, they see the performance, but they don't see the grind. They don't see, you in the gym with your dad working on your form, or before there was a shooting gun, before there was any of this other stuff, videos on YouTube. How did you start with basketball?
Yeah, so my dad was a coach, so I was exposed to basketball early on. And I remember going to his games. He was a middle school coach. My favorite players were his players, middle school players. I thought they were great. So I would hang out at practice. And then I think probably around, I started playing like most kids of, elementary school age in leagues. But once I got 4th, 5th grade, I was super into it. In the gym all the time. I think from probably 5th grade on, about every night I was in the gym with my dad, finishing the day.
That's awesome. Yeah. Was there a point? What was typically with your dad, what did you guys do as you developed your game? And because I think for parents, they want to push their kids into something, maybe their passion, but you can't push passion on somebody. You can't make someone passionate. But you see your son has it. I'm sure he found out a way to cultivate that in you,
Right.
and because you loved it, you loved it, and he's like, all right, if you love it, I'm going to push you and help you get better, and this is the way that we're going to do it. So what was that process like, and how did he coach you and help you to keep that healthy balance of still loving the game and not getting burned out?
Yeah, I mean, I think you really described it. Really, it was more of just his demeanor, his mindset, his approach. He never really. I mean, he saw that I was interested, and we had access to the gym, which helped, so he could help me out. And I would always ask, "Hey, Dad, you want to go to the gym?" And he would always say yes.
That's awesome.
I don't ever remember him saying no. We would go, and then at the same time, I don't ever remember him. I mean, he really let me drive, and then he facilitated, helped, push me at times, and he would do some coaching. Like after game, he would point some things out to me. I'd always ask him what he thought. And then I remember a few strong lessons where I had a little bit of a temper as a young guy, and he would get on to me about arguing with the refs. So he taught me some good lessons.
You argue with the refs? There's no way. Yeah. I can definitely relate, man. I didn't have as much as that humility of always seeking out the coaching. It took me a while to understand that's really what great players do. They seek out coaching. They seek out criticism because they understand they can't see everything. They don't know everything. They want to continue to learn. And of course, it's not perfect because at the end of the day, it's dad. So, if dad says it, it can't be true. And then you hear from another coach and you're like, oh, that's what my dad's been saying the whole time. And he's like, yeah, I know. Why don't you listen to me?
Well, I'm learning that now. Three boys, so I'm learning it.
Oh, man, I can only imagine the patience that you humble. Was there a moment where you called your dad and you're just like, Dad, I get it now?
I'm sure there's multiple moments.
Yeah, I'm absolutely sure. Your dad had to be so proud. I'm sure a lot of people don't know, but you were Mr. Basketball back in the 3A division in Tennessee. That had to be a pretty exciting time. Averaging around 20, almost averaging triple double. Tell us a little bit about that senior season.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, really, I was fortunate. I had a lot of great teammates, a good high school coach too that helped me a lot. And from about my sophomore season on, I had really similar years. And then I played the point guard in high school for the most part. Junior, senior year, I moved over to the point. So most folks probably wouldn't guess that, but I played that in high school. Obviously, I shot a lot of threes, but I got to the basket quite a bit, handled the ball quite a bit. And what I really remember and how it ties to Florida is I played Tennessee Travelers with Corey Brewer. He was the age group below me, so we weren't on the same team. But we had Corey, we had some other good guys. But with the Travelers, they had Vincent Yarbrough, they had David Harrison. They had a lot of good players that Coach Donovan had recruited. So my high school coach, my AAU coach called up Coach Donovan when Tennessee was playing in Knoxville. And he's like, look, you guys probably don't even know who Lee Humphrey is, but I'm telling you, you got to just do me a favor and go watch him practice. So Coach Donovan didn't come, but Coach Grant and Coach Pelfrey came. It was Coach Pelfrey's last year at Florida. They watched the practice, and I think it was probably the best practice of my life. And it was probably our team's best practice. Like, I think they probably showed up like, wow, this team is, they've seen a lot of great teams, so maybe they didn't think we were that great. But they were probably impressed with the team, I thought, and I don't think I missed a shot all practice. And from that point on, they were recruiting me. And then, Mr. Basketball, I thought I had a shot going into my senior year because I'd made all-state team before and so forth. But, I never really would have imagined that I would have won that as a kid.
Yeah, it was a great accomplishment and, something to truly be great because a lot of factors go into winning that. Not only do you have to be really good, you got to be consistent and your team needs to be good, needs to be competitive. You can't be the best player on the worst team and with barely winning any games. So That's pretty awesome. Well, so when going through your recruiting process there, when did you first get to interact with Coach Donovan, and when did they offer you? And what was that like in deciding and finalizing where you're going to go?
Yeah, so I met Coach Grant, Coach Pelfrey during the school year, and then I think Coach Donovan had called me a few times to show some interest, but I really didn't get to meet him until the next summer. So that was the summer going into my senior year, and that's when I think I took an unofficial visit down to Florida. It's one of only 2 visits I took. I took an unofficial in Tennessee when I was freshman or sophomore. And then that summer they offered me. So that was it. I took one official visit. It was Florida, and it was after I'd already signed.
Were there any other schools that you were looking at that time?
Yeah, my second was Marquette. Tom Crean was there, and they were recruiting me, telling me, hey, we got Travis Diener watching point guard. He'll be really good. They made the Final Four that year with D Wade, so he was right. They were great. And they were saying, hey, you come in, see if you could be the next Travis Diener. So I was thinking, Marquette was also a good option, but outside of Marquette, probably Stanford, West Virginia, I think. I don't know. No one was really close, though, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. I got you. That's. I mean, yeah. I think you made the right decision.
I do have a funny story though. So Clemson was actually recruiting me, and Larry Shyatt was their head coach.
Wow.
And so he came, and I was in school and he came up he just stopped by at high school, and he didn't give much heads up, like a day or two. And I had a big test the next day, and he got me out of calculus class.
Oh man.
And I was really stressed out about it. And he had a big book. It was like that big binder. And he sat there with my high school coach, put it down on the table. We started going through all the books. I think he thought, hey, this is a studious guy. I'm going to make a connection. School's important for him. I'm going to show him how regimented we are, or, we make our guys do all this and fill out all this paperwork. We're tracking all your classes. And I'm thinking, that's not really what I wanted you to pitch me on, but.
What about basketball? First off, coach, I have a calculus exam going on.
He was asking me questions, and I wasn't paying attention. And so I couldn't really answer him. I didn't know what to say. So my high school coach was trying to help me out.
Oh, man. I love Coach Shy, man. What a great guy.
He was great. Turns out he comes to Florida, and I love him. So
fantastic guy. So transitioning on, you're getting to Florida. You're there from 03 to 07. But coming in as a freshman, what were some of the, your expectations? First off, what was Coach Donovan telling you through your recruiting process, how he would fit you in and growing into the system and et cetera, being used? And then, I think we all kind of hit as a freshman or a high school senior that played really well. Then we get to being a freshman in college. And there's some point where we're like, oh man, this ain't high school no more. Like, this is like a lot tougher. What was that moment like for you?
Yeah, I actually think for me, I didn't have a lot of high expectations coming in, because I was recruited by a lot of schools, but I wasn't like the most recruited guy out there. Boy Brewer obviously way more recruited than I was, and then even the rest of the guys in the 04 class too. So, Florida had Matt Walsh at the time, Anthony Roberson, and Rashid Al-Khalil. I'm trying to remember who we had at the guard spot. Who else? Ryan Appleby came in with me as a point guard. So my mindset really was, Matt Walsh was great. He had scored like 40 points his first game at Florida. So I knew it was going to be a fight for me to get playing time. Christian Dreyer was on the team too. And he was at the time projected to be probably a first-round draft pick. So we had a ton of talent. And my mindset really was just to come in, and Coach Donovan, and he obviously liked the way I could shoot the ball. That's what he wanted me to do. My mindset was, I've just got to come in and scrap and fight and try to earn some playing time. And my freshman year was up and down, but it turned out to be a really positive year for me. I finished the year starting for the last half of the SEC season.
It's ironic that, you know, a lot of guys that can shoot really well aren't normally known as being the best defenders, but you did such a great job of showing people that that's not who you are. What was it about? Like, what did you just realize that, you know, I want to be more effective because you know, even though I have this great ability of scoring, you know, if I get a lot of shots, they're hard to come by because they're scouting. People know, you know, how else can I be effective on the court? Because Coach Donovan did this with us one time. I guess we were having some difficulties sharing the ball, and you know, point guards have the ball in their hand most of the time. And Coach Donovan showed us that I guess he had somebody on a stopwatch to go through the film and show us how much time we actually even have the ball in our hands in a 40-minute game. And it's like 30 seconds, 20 seconds. You know, being a big man, it's a lot shorter than being a point guard. It's a lot more. And he's like, for the rest of the game, what else can you do to contribute and be valuable and stay on the court? And that just helped me to have my mindset of, oh gosh, like, you know, I need to become one of the best pick and roll defenders. I need to become a better rebounder, communicator on the court, higher energy, good screen setter, all these other things that add up into winning to help my team. You know, what was that like for you to figure out that what else you can do to be effective and a great teammate and a reliable guy on the court?
Right. Yeah, that's a cool story because I don't remember Coach Donovan doing that with us, but I actually really remember those stats because I came back when I was still playing over Christmas break to watch a game. My wife was in school at the time, so I came back to see her. And I remember in the gym, he was talking about it. I think he may even had something up on the wall. So I was thinking about it, and I was like, wow, that's right. I never really even thought about it. But then thinking back, I was thinking after that, I was thinking back to the way Coach Donovan coached, the way he organized practice. And even though he didn't directly talk to us about that, it was just the way that he never put the emphasis on the actual result, like the result or the outcome. It was all about the process that goes into it, the execution beforehand, and then the rest just kind of takes care of itself. So, I mean, and I think I saw that, and the rest of the guys saw that too from Coach Donovan and the rest of the staff, that there was so much focus on the details,
right?
That it was hard not to focus on that yourselves. And then it just kind of translates naturally, I think, or it did for us at least.
Was there any drill that you guys had to do, like, that you can remember on an everyday process? Because I remember for us, especially going into my senior year, we had to do this. It wasn't exact. It was like a shell drill, but it had to deal with like dribble handoff, getting back to the white line, and we would do it before every single practice. And it took us a while to embrace it,
right?
Because it's like, gosh, man, we got to do this same drill. Like, we got it, we figured it out, but it was in Coach Donovan's methodology of coaching the team. You know, be great at the foundational things, be great at the small things.
Right.
And because that's what separates a good team from a great team. Not just that they do it every now and then, that they have spurts. They consistently, and you can't do it every single time, but I'll say the 99.9%, you're striving to do the little things, jumping to the ball on the white line, looking at your man to box out, running the floor, getting in your lanes, and so many different things. You know, was there some type of drill or that he had you guys doing that you guys maybe dreaded a little bit?
Oh, wow. Yeah, there's a lot. I could go back to a lot of drills that I thought were hard. I could rattle those off for a long time. And I can also think of, I mean, the one that I dreaded the most was, at the time, you could only have 4 players on the court before season started, and you had your preseason practices. It was twice a week. You'd have individuals, and you usually have weights the other 2 days or something. I can't remember exactly how it was organized. But you would get in there with 4 guards, and we would go and we would press. And it would be 2-on-2, full court, you know, all over your guy. And I mean, 2-on-2 pressing will wear you out. And to make it worse, we would do it with a heavy ball.
Oh, man.
And so you got 40-minute, individual workout, 4 guys, and you got 20 minutes of pressing 2-on-2. You're gassed at the end of it. So that's probably what I dreaded the most. But we actually, so I think it was my junior, senior year, maybe sophomore year, we did this too. We had peer pressure drills. You guys probably had the peer pressure drills.
Oh, yeah.
So my freshman year, we didn't have them. But peer pressure, there was about 5 or 6 drills that coaches would mix up. And we knew them by heart. But he would pick 2 or 3 of them. And that day we couldn't start practice until we did peer pressure drills perfectly. Some of them were weaves. Some of them were layups without letting the ball hit the ground. Some of them was 2-man passing, where you're running down the court with 2 guys and 1 guy bounce passes, the other guy chest passes. And I mean, that gets pretty monotonous throughout the season, but they were on you, and you had to do them perfectly before you could start practice.
I'm sure you guys did the weave drill with 2 guys, 3-man weave down the court. The 2 on the outside have a jump shot. The one has a layup. And then, in 3 minutes, you have to get to a certain number, like 100-something points. And
22-2.
Oh, man. Gosh.
22-2. That's all coach would say. You just get on the line. 22-2. Here we go.
22-2. Man. So Lee, obviously your class is one of the most well-known in Florida basketball history. A lot of those guys, you might not have necessarily had a close relationship right when you had gotten to campus. What was it like, with your tight-knit group of guys, forming those relationships and seeing those guys grow? I'm sure you've got stories you can share, but tell us about your group of guys that ended up going on to do some awesome things in your tenure.
Wow, yeah. I mean, where to start? So, I mean, I think I got to go back. So we had a nice foundation from the previous set of guys that I mentioned, like David Lee, Matt Walsh, Anthony Roberson. Those guys were phenomenal and great. So I think it really helped us because as freshmen, my freshman year, I played with those guys. My sophomore year, the 04 class was in. And we talked about it a lot in different places, but we used to play pickup against those guys, the older guys. And it was usually 04s and myself, and then we would play against the older guys. And we were always really competitive. But I think the whole time we just wanted to prove ourselves, like, hey, we're going against the older guys. This is our time to shine, really, and show what we can do. And we took it really seriously. And we just naturally clicked. I think everyone had such a different skill set that they could, excel at, that it just naturally fit together. So that helped. But that's really where I think the bond started to form. And of course, the 04 guys were all close. They lived with each other all 4 years. So they obviously were tight. But I think we were tight because of it too. So Chris Richard as well. With me. So I lived with Chris Richard my freshman year, and then we had different dorm rooms, but same areas after that. And we were always around the guys, always in the gym, going to meals together. So I don't know, it was natural how the bond formed.
I remember, I think talking to Duke Warner, still there, Dave Warner, the athletic trainer. He's been with the Gators for the people that don't know. Can't wait to have him on the show. That Joe Kim, from his freshman year, first off, he couldn't get on time. he couldn't get in. He couldn't be on time anywhere. And he came in, as skinny as can be. What was it like seeing him transform and grow up through the tenure? Because I know that because he couldn't be on time, Matt Herring, that was the strength coach at the time, had him up early, running stadiums multiple times of the year. So especially his freshman year. So, I'm sure you got some great stories, but also, what was it like seeing Joe Kim grow up and grow into the player that he ended up becoming?
Yeah, it was great to watch Joe because he had just the perfect mindset, the exact teammate that you would want. Always working hard, always competitive. In practice, you could see it. He could have his fiery moments too, just out of frustration. But it's good for the team to have that, I think. So, I mean, I remember, I mean, some of, like, we started checking classes after after those guys got on campus. I don't remember having class checks my freshman year, but once Joe, Al, Tori, and Corey all were there, managers started checking our classes, and they'd report back to the coaches who's there and who's not.
Man, them class checks were no joke, man. especially study hall, so bad. I hope you didn't do this, but I remember, and I hope the guys aren't doing this now, but we had freshman year, we had the 5-hour study hall rule.
Oh yeah.
That you had to be in there for at least 5 hours a week. And
Right.
I'm so ashamed. Kids don't do this. Be integritous. You know, have integrity. Do what you say you're gonna do. Show up, because I would slide them. You know,
Slide the card.
you would slide in your card. There was the way it was set up in the OSL or Hawkins Center was you would come up through the elevator, and there was a hallway, and there were stairs straight across. But before the stairs that you could leave, there were people that would check you in, and then there was a door that would lead you back to behind the study hall area where the computers are. There's a quiet room area, and it was a requirement by Coach Donovan and the staff for us to be there 5 hours a week just to make sure we stay on top of our priorities. You know, it makes sense. We're in college. We're student athletes as well, so we need to make sure we stay eligible, stay on top of our stuff. And somehow, I don't remember who told me, but they said you could finesse the system. You would just slide them your Gator One, you know, check in, what's going on? Good to see you, yeah, blah, blah. You walk around the corner as if you were going to check in. You would wait till someone else came up, and then you would slide down the stairs, and you would leave, go eat, go do whatever. Then you would come back up the stairs and get your card back after a few hours, like, yeah, I had a great session. And then, you know, before you knew it, you never got caught. until I forgot my card one time, and I got in a lot of trouble. So
Yeah, who'd you talk to, Coach Donovan or Tom?
Probably Tom Williams.
Yeah.
Tom Williams. Yeah, Tom Williams. He had to straighten me out a few times my freshman year, but I really appreciated it. He helped me to become a much better student and a better man.
Yeah, that's good. I remember. I mean, Coach he didn't mess around. After the first championship, we actually ran at 6 a.m. in the morning, probably within a week of after we won the championship, because class check, not going to class. Coach,
hey, I ain't going to class.
Quick.
I ain't going to class after winning a championship. Like, 1 week? Come on, man. Like, I'm on top of the world. So going into you know, the 05-06 season, you know, people. I went on Twitter to ask some people some questions that they might have for you. Some of them stood out to me. You know, did you realize that you guys were going to be that good? Like, of course, I'm knowing Coach Donovan, knowing the type of character guys that he recruits. Of course, you guys prepared and were ready. But did you foresee? I mean, no, I don't think anyone just says, "Yeah, we're going to win the championship." But was there a point where you're like, "Man, we are a championship caliber team. Like, we really have a shot to do it"? And this was before anyone really would count you guys in.
Right. I think there's 2 points that really stand out to me. So the first one was in the summer. We were going over to Coach Donovan's house. We had a team dinner out at Coach Donovan's house. And I had a Jeep that I drove on campus. It was a 1967 Jeep.
Wow.
No doors, no top, 3-speed, no power steering. And the stick was, you know, like you're changing a gear in a bus. So that was actually the car that I learned to drive on. And it was the same car that my dad learned to drive on. I was always really proud about that. And so I had it in Gainesville for a year. And we were coming back from Coach's house, and it was me, Corey, Al, and Joe. So like three of the biggest dudes you can have in the Jeep. So they were so big they couldn't actually sit on the seat. They had to sit on the back of the seat and hold on to the row bar. And I just remember driving on campus, and I looked over at the guys, and we were all talking. And it was like, guys, we're gonna be really good this year. And we all kind of like looked at each other and like, yeah, you know what? I think we are going to be really good this year. Like you said, I don't think anyone thought we were winning the championship, but we had a lot of confidence from that. And that was midsummer before we'd even started fall workouts. And then the second one, and this is where I think the first time I really thought, maybe we're going to win a championship. It was the Elite Eight. Elite Eight, we just beat Villanova in Minneapolis. And Coach Donovan had all the guys there. So starting five, Chris Richard, Walter Hodge, Adrian Moss, and we were staying in there. And he looked at the guys and he said, guys, we got a chance to do something really special. And then after he said that, I was like, okay, we can win the championship. I mean, I the whole time I never thought we were going to go into a game and lose. The whole season almost. I mean, after we won the kickoff tournament in Madison Square Garden against Syracuse, preseason NIT, I never went into a game thinking, hey, we're going to lose this game. But that moment against Villanova after the game is when I really first started thinking, hey, we got a real shot here.
That's awesome. Wow, that's incredible. I guess to say for my class, going into our senior year, Scotty, Casey, Scotty Wilbekin, Casey Prather, Will Uget, and I, we kind of saw the blueprint of the guys before us. And not to knock their leadership, but we just knew that when it was going to be our time, we were going to do things differently, that we were going to really play for each other, that we knew how much we loved each other. We had fallen short in the Elite Eight 3 years in a row. But that third season, after we lost to Michigan, they handed it to us. They just Nick Stauskas got extremely hot as Mitch McGarry, Trey Burke. Those guys just played unbelievably well. We just were so locked in on becoming, first off, a defensive team. We had one of the best defensive points per game because we just were so locked into team defense. We understood what Coach Donovan was trying to get us to do. And it was crazy at first when we went into that senior year. We kind of did not have that humility to start off because it doesn't matter how good you were before. You have to – Coach Donovan was like, I don't care how good you guys were last year. You have to lay the foundation for this year. Yes, you have a good reference point of what you can be and what you are capable of, but that still requires you putting that work in every single day. Because I think we had a preseason game against Georgia Tech, and we were all just like caught up in the stuff that – because we were way better than Georgia Tech in the preseason game. But we let them stay with us because we were focused in on the wrong things. And after about that finally clicked for us, we realized that we could hold teams to 40 points.
Yeah.
And if they scored 50, we were pissed off. That we realized that we have one of the best pick and roll duos, defending duos in the country. That literally we were capable of stopping everybody. I don't think there was a point where we were like, let's go undefeated in the SEC and let's do this and let's win 30 games in a row. We were just so caught up and we were a reciprocated Coach Donovan of just being in the moment, focusing on today, focusing on the present. And looking back, it was like, man, that was the best way to do things. Even though we fell short, the fact that we that senior year that I had was some of the best basketball I ever got a chance to play. Because that was truly where basketball was just us living in the moment, playing for each other, living life together, and not worrying about anything else. And so blessed to have been a part of that, man.
Yeah. Some of the best basketball, Florida basketball history. I mean, you guys, incredible run, and undefeated in conference is kind of like unheard of. Maybe Kentucky did it. Maybe did they do it a year or two ago?
Did it right. They did it right after us.
After you guys,
but the Coach Donovan always said that, hey, we did it first.
Yeah, that's right.
So sweet.
I remember falling. I was like, man, I was watching championship game, and it's like, did you guys get up like 20-2 or Final Four game, like 20-2?
We were up like 20 to like they were still in the single digits. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's hilarious because people were I was like, too soon. It's still too soon. When during the election, this recent one, people were saying, stop the count, stop the count. People were bringing up an image of when the score was whatever we were up in the first quarter, and they're like,
Right.
stop the count, and I'm like, I wish a game was only like 10 minutes long and we could, be hoisting that trophy. I wish.
Yeah.
But transitioning a little bit, let's see, what were we just talking about? I had a good one I wanted to ask you.
No one if we.
Oh,
yeah.
I got you. Okay, Lee. So we were just talking about, mentioning one of my team, and it's always been something that I've wondered. Let's take your best. Which team are you taking? Your 06 team or your 07 team?
We'll go as 07 team.
Okay, your 07 team versus my 2014 team. Who you got? You think it's going to be a close game? You think you guys are going to blow us out, or you think it would be neck and neck, or what's your take on that?
Well, Coach Donovan told us that, hey, UCLA had all this hype about how great their defense was. He's like, wait till they play us. We're going to destroy them. And we're going to show them what a real defense is like. So I'm just going to take that same mindset against you guys and be like, hey, that's not a real defense. We're going to put up a lot of points.
I think if it came to, it would be a tough battle for sure. It would be a hard fought game. Man, I'm not sure what it would come down to. Defense wins championships. Matchups would be, I would be guarding Al. Will Uget would be guarding Joe. Casey Prather would be guarding Corey Brewer. See, Scotty would have Taurine, and Mike Frazier would be trying to lock you up. shooter versus
trying
shooter.
To do the same to each other.
We're trying to do the same.
Deny. You're not getting the ball.
Deny. Oh man, I don't know. That's, whew.
It'd be a great matchup.
One thing I wish I would have just done better is just having my conditioning be a little bit better, because I think Joe Kim, just that energy, he was one of those guys that just seemed to never get tired, or or just he's a springboard, a catalyst to get something going, and that's something I always was like, man, that's the thing that makes that guy special. He might not be the most talented, or it might not look the best, but right. he was able to get it done.
Yeah. He may have played the games like he didn't get tired, but I've seen him get pretty tired in practice.
You seen him get pretty tired in practice? So I got a few more questions to ask you. So I talked to Teddy Dupay on the show a few weeks ago, and he told me of a story, and I need you to verify if it's true or not, that you and him had a shooting contest.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the shooting contest, because I don't want to ruin it. Yeah.
So this was the first time I ever met Teddy. So Teddy and David Lee were pretty good friends, and it was before freshman year, so I just got there for summer B. I showed up at the gym. David was there with Teddy, and David's like, "Hey, Teddy, you got to shoot against Lee. He's going to give you, he's going to give you a run for the money." And so David Lee rebounded 100 shots for me and Teddy. We did 10 shots apiece at 10 spots, and we got to the final spot, and we were tied. And I hit 91 out of 100, and Teddy hit 92.
Oh my gosh!
I think I missed one or two. I missed one or two on my last 10, and I lost. So I need a rematch with Teddy.
Was he talking noise that whole time, or it was just definitely. Like, oh man, for sure.
It was not a silent. It wasn't like you get a free shot.
Yeah, knowing Teddy, I know he was trying to get in your head the whole time. I also got another one. Some fan, and I don't remember this story, so you'll have to tell me. Apparently, you remember falling off of a bike before a Kentucky game.
Before Ole Miss.
Before Ole Miss. Okay,
yeah.
So the details are wrong. Okay, so this was obviously a home game.
Well, no, we were actually on the road. So.
Oh no.
Yeah. We were. So what happened? We played Vandy on a Saturday, We played great, destroyed Vandy. We had a Tuesday night game at Ole Miss. And so coach after game always like taped up, ready to go, whatever time, like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So we were taped up, ready to go for practice. We're sitting in film. All right, we're going to watch a little bit of Vandy, and we're going to watch personnel or something from Ole Miss to start getting ready. And Coach Donovan just comes in and says, guys, cut your tape off, go home, no practice today. So we were all pumped. We were like, okay, I was thinking it's 1 o'clock on a Sunday. What am I going to do the rest of the day? So I had a road bike. I used to ride in the summer. I'd go ride the Hawthorne Trail. I'd time myself, figure out like how fast can I ride the Hawthorne Trail. And then I was thinking, okay, I'll go for a quick bike ride. And I went off the curb near the education school, the education building, and I flipped over the top of my bike and separated the shoulder.
No.
Yes. And we were going to Japanese Steakhouse that night for a team dinner. So I picked up my bike and I couldn't move my arm.
Oh
I just flopped it down on the bike, rode back, and told Duke, I was like, Duke, you got to help me. Coach Donovan, Coach Shyatt were on the treadmill and came in. I think just in shock, like, what happened?
I'm sure they had a lot more words than what happened. I can only imagine what Duke's face was like, what the F are you doing, Lee? Like, what are you thinking? Well, I'm thankful it was a bike and not a scooter, because there's been a lot of, when I was in school, there were a lot of kids that had gotten in accidents on their little mopeds and, would end up missing their whole seasons.
Right. I mean, it was funny. I used to think about it. We only had, no one on our team had a scooter, I think.
That's great.
And I think only 2 guys had cars. Maybe 3 guys had cars.
And I'm sure you guys were all driving around together all the time. I know you get asked this question often, I'm sure, when you run into Gator fans. March 23rd, 2007, in the tournament, there's a 10-minute delay. You called a 10-minute delay in the game. What was going through your mind when you and I, like, it's goodness gracious, you shot that ball and it just ripped, like it just like was so pure of a make, and the nets just ripped, like people, the fans, people can't believe, like, did he really just make a shot so well that it just ripped the net? What was going through your mind at that time, and when you realized what happened?
Shock, really. I think I was just, you're playing the game, you're into it. I was feeling pretty good that game. I think I ended with 7 threes or so. And, I mean, it lasted forever. I kept on thinking, what, just tie it together.
Just tie it together. Just get some zip ties and just zip it on there, and we'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll be fine. So, I mean, it drug on for a long time, and I kept on thinking they have to have something better than this. I think that's what I was thinking. But now it's fun because, my son's seen it on YouTube or wherever, and he's like, Daddy, why'd you rip the net? That's kind of what
why'd you do it?
I'm going to rip the net someday.
Hey, that's a great goal to aspire to. Absolutely. Why not? Do it the same exact way. So this next question I have for you is from Jerome Millman. Super Gator, one of the greatest guys I know. Every road game, Mr. Jerome is there cheering us on. First off, he wanted to tell you, Lee, that he's so he loves hearing from you. Loves that seeing you, that you're doing a great job on the broadcast, and just keep it up. Loving what you're doing, and awesome seeing you stay involved. And he wanted to ask you, Lee, what did you do that other shooters don't? What did you do that other shooters did not do that led to your consistent success?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think one, I started really early, so I was shooting all the time when I was young. So I got to see a lot of shots go through the hoop. I think that's the big key. You can't. It's all about repetition, consistency, making sure every shot is the same.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I also played a lot of one-on-one growing up, make it, take it. And if I was advising kids to that want to become good players, I would say, hey, go grab a buddy for an hour and play one-on-one, make it, take it. And I would do it with the guy that was pretty good on my high school team, was a great defender. He played at Wake Forest. We played make it, take it, and you really just learn to score, because in a game
Right.
it's not like, I mean, you get wide open shots and you can shoot kind of your normal spot shot, but really you need to train yourself to get into a groove. So
Yeah.
you need to train yourself to roll off like 4 or 5 makes in a row, because then if you hit one, then you just get this feeling and the ball just starts going through the hoop. So I
The
bet you got to
confidence.
do a lot. You got to play a lot and do a lot of repetition,
Yeah.
and you got to have some success scoring on people.
Yeah, I know. I think that, with analytics, they tell you that there's, no such thing as a true hot streak, but I don't think they account for you can't measure it. That the feel you get from just knowing your shots when it comes off your hand, getting to your positions, your spots. Sometimes you just know the motion without even thinking about it. Like that's in, that's a bucket, that's my shot. He can't
Yeah,
stop this. I'm going to get there, and it's going to go in. And it's not always a feeling that you can get every time, but like you said, once you knock that first one down, and then that second one, you're like,
yeah,
he's
yeah. You described it well. It's like you get into a mindset where you're like, well, I'm not going to miss, so I'm shooting it.
you after you make 5 in a row, the rim is like this big, like it's going in the basket. So let's transition a little bit, going to post Florida. First of all, I want to ask you this before we get into professional career a little bit. What has been your favorite part about covering the program that you played for? And well, first off, how did you start getting into broadcasting? Because I know you were doing something before,
Right.
and what's been your favorite part about doing it so far?
Yeah, I mean, at first I love doing the broadcast. It's so much fun. I think this is my 3rd season now, and really I knew Bill Koss, who was on the show. He lives in Jacksonville, so we had a connection. We would stay in touch, and then I stayed in touch with some folks at the university too. So I think they knew I was out there, and if they gave me a shot, I may give it a shot. But I told Bill, like, hey, if you ever need help or want some help on the broadcast, feel free to reach out to me. And so it turned out they needed coverage for Thanksgiving tournament down in the Bahamas. So I jumped on it and loved it. So I mean, there's a lot of great things. This year's definitely different. I mean, it's not the same this year as the other years, but I mean, what I love most probably is just being around the program, being around the guys at times. I mean, I don't really interact with them that much, but it's cool to like see how the trips work, see how they get along. The team atmosphere that they have, how the coaches interact, and then being like this year we're not on the floor, but last year you're on the floor. So when you call a home game, you're right there in front of the Rowdy Reptiles, and I always just think, man, the game moves so fast down here. I don't remember. I don't know. I always felt like when you watch a game, it's faster than when you actually play.
I agree. I think so. Being in that position where you're now covering, especially the school you played for, does it ever just cross your mind of like, man, a lot of people are here because of the teams that I was on and helped building this program, and because seeing Exact Tech arena now that it had the way it is now, and I come back and I see how the student hall is now, like I never got a chance to go on one of those preseason tournaments as well and all these other things, but it's like, my team helped lay the foundation. Your team helped lay that foundation for us. I probably wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for you and in the class after you. Is there a moment that you're like, man, this is just like, it's so awesome just to be a part of all this and to have, put a drop in the bucket, more than a drop in the bucket. You know what I mean? Way more than a drop.
Right. No, I mean, I think definitely feel like that because, we invested so much in the relationships in the school. It meant so much to us. I mean, I think all of us got so much from the university as well, and the chance to play together. Um, it's awesome to be able to contribute. And then when I really feel it the most is when the guys get on a roll, like in during a broadcast, and things start to flow, and the team is really playing well, and you can get enthusiastic about the game. That's my favorite part of the games, and I think that's actually when I feel like the most connection.
Yeah. That's all. I mean, it's so great being able to see that. I remember coming back, watching the guys beat Auburn last season.
Oh, that was awesome.
It was great. It was a great game, and just seeing how rowdy the Rowdies were getting, and just the excitement. I'm like, man, it's so great to be a Gator, and this is what we represent. This is what we represent. This is what it's about. So you've been doing this, going to your third season now. You've gotten a chance to have a little bit of more than a sample size of what Coach White has done and what he's building in the program. What do you see for this team and this program and under his leadership so far?
Yeah, I think Coach White's done a great job. I mean, he came in Elite Eight first year, and then has had a lot of success. I don't know the stats, but I think still tops in SEC and wins. I mean, and right now the team is playing really well. They've had a ton of adversity this year, obviously, in major things. So, I mean, they've got at times, and most times now, I mean, we had the week before last, we lost to Mississippi State, we lost to Alabama. I mean, the team, it was different, I felt like, than what they've been the rest of the season. But when I watch them, how they played against, I can't even think, play Vandy tomorrow, but who did we play last? When we beat Tennessee, and then
we beat Georgia
away. Like, when I watched the team, it reminded me of us. There was a togetherness, a passion, inspiration, the guys flying around. And I think they've got a lot of talented players right now, and that's what's cool to watch, is them coming together. And I felt like for the most part this year, that's the way they played, even with dealing, with, extraordinary. I mean, I can't imagine how they felt with Keontae. I mean, I still just can't even think about that, how they would feel. So, and then with COVID, and Scotty's been out for a while. I mean, I feel like they've done a nice job coming together as a team.
It's really insane, man. The amount of adversity this team has faced, and the fact that they've really reiterated and just shown how as human beings, how when we are together, when we can stick together and like take ownership. And when I say take ownership, I don't want people to think that I'm saying like you disregard the pain and the unjust things that are happening. You just taking ownership is saying, this is the hand that we're dealt. This is what it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's bind arms. Let's fight. Let's be together. Let's support each other. Let's strive to make the most out of the situation. And through that, we're going to grow. We're going to get better. It might not look the prettiest, and it's not going to be easy necessarily, but it's been really cool, especially watching guys step up. I mean, Tyree Appleby's looking fantastic.
Yeah.
I had really high hopes for him coming into the season because I got a chance to see him practice. Good seeing Anthony DeRuggi. The kid Castleton came out of nowhere. Man, he's a stud. Right. He's a stud. Oh, baby, he's a stud.
Get us back to the basket one-on-one in the post.
Oh, man. But what's something that's so crazy, when I had Coach White on the show, the second episode, I got a chance to dig into the numbers, and his 6 years he's been there, he's had the hardest strength of schedule, harder than any other team in the SEC. And his record is so close, matching up with Coach Donovan's first 5 to 6 years. Right. And I don't think Coach Donovan had to face the same exact adversity as Coach White has had to have. But Coach White, I love him to death. I think he fits the part. I think he's our guy. I definitely think he's our guy. He's every day. He's consistent. He knows the game really well. I think he's a good family man. How he balances it all, because I think he's got 5 kids as well. So I don't know how he balances having these great relationships with his guys and being able to be a dad as well. But Lee, let's get into a little bit of post-career stuff. You know, after you graduated, you know, you went undrafted. I was undrafted as well. You know, what was your journey like of you wanting to pursue professional basketball for a bit?
Yeah. So after senior year, I did what most guys do. I went and worked out for a whole bunch of teams, flying all over the place before the draft.
Man.
Played with the Wizards. And if I had to do it over again, I committed to play for the Wizards. And then later on, I got a call from the Hawks. But it was already, I was committed. I was going with the Wizards. I didn't know what to do. But Al was on the Hawks side. I just kept on thinking, oh, man, I wish I was with the Hawks.
Oh, man, that would have been cool. That would have been cool.
It would have been cool. I mean, who knows? I probably would. If I'd have made it or not, but it would have been fun to play with Al a little bit more. Yeah. And then so afterwards, I went to Greece, which you know very well. I was with Pauk. I mean, to be honest, it was a really tough situation. I loved it there, though. I mean, Saloniki is an awesome city. The Greek League was a ton of fun. Fans are crazy. I mean, if I always tell people, like, what should I do if I go to Europe? Like, if you're a sports fan at all, you need to go to Panathinaikos, Olympiakos game in Athens. Or you need to go to, like, Red Star, Olympiakos, or, you know, something. Europe, there's a huge derby rivalry game, and you will see the most crazy sports atmosphere you've ever seen.
Dude, the things that I experienced in playing overseas basketball, these huge derby games, I'm like, there's no way. If this happened in America, they would be in jail. They would be going to jail. This game would be canceled. There's no way. And then I remember when I hurt my knee and I was sitting out my first year. We were playing. I was with Olympiakos in Greece, and we were playing some smaller team. And you know how it is. When you're super fans out there, they chant the entire game. They chant. Right. They have these things that they're saying the whole game. And I'm like, my younger teammate on my team sitting next to me, and I'm like, little Billy, man, what are these guys saying? And when he told me what they were saying, I was like, bro, are you kidding me? Like, that's like, there's kids here. Like, that's like, how is that acceptable language? Like, I was so glad I can't understand what they're saying, right, because they are just that passionate about the sport. But you know, your last year, you ended up playing out in Lithuania.
Right. Yeah. So I played a lot of places. I think I played 8 countries in 8 years. And I actually had a pretty short stint in Lithuania. I hurt my back when I was there. So I didn't stay that long, came back, rehabbed, and then, you know, hung up the towel. But, I mean, I absolutely loved my career. I had a ton of fun, met a ton of great people. Yeah. A lot of great stories.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. We ran out of time here, and you know, when I finally get you on the golf course or get a chance to grab some lunch with you, love to hear them.
Yeah, I'd love to hear. I know you've got some crazy stories.
I got a handful.
Yeah, yeah. Are you playing this year?
I was playing a little bit earlier this year. I was in Israel, then I got released. Just you know, the injuries, man. I mean, just really wore me down.
Right. Well, you're what, 33?
I will be 29 on. Don't give me years.
Man,
what are you doing?
I'm way off. Don't put that in the episode.
It's in there. It's in there. Man, I don't have any gray hairs. Like, I don't know what is it. The beard? Is it?
You know, math was never really my strong suit.
Math? You talking about doing calculus? Coach Shine had you taking you out of your calculus class. But I went to Greece after I got cut to strive to see if there's an opportunity. Man, just with COVID, it's just like it was impossible to get into a practice gym. So I stayed for as long as I could without a visa, then came back home in December 30th. I've been here just training, kind of just trying to have balance. Right now, I picked my master's program back up, and I have an interview with the SEC Network on February 7th. So
great.
Excited to see where that's going to go. You know, we all know that the sports part of our life, as far as playing, it ends for everybody at some point.
Oh yeah.
And you know, I think I've heard it many times on First Take or any other guy saying, once you start thinking about retirement, it's probably time for you to, start leaning that other way and because you got plenty of life left to live. And,
Right.
I don't have any kids or a family yet, but I can imagine that, for you, it was really important to stay there consistently with your family and share all those memories. You probably didn't want to miss any of those any part of your kid, your son's life growing up or opportunities with your wife to continue to grow and connect. So it probably wasn't too hard to decide to transition.
I mean, it was actually hard.
It was pretty hard. Okay.
All the things you say are true, but when I went to Lithuania, we had just had our first son. And so I did have to leave because we wanted to make sure it worked out before they came over. And so that was extremely hard. But the plan was for them to come over and be there with me.
Right.
And we always enjoyed it because we traveled a lot when it was just my wife and I, and we would have done the same with our son too. So, but I mean, we loved it, and I was in my mind, I kept telling myself like I'm going to play till I'm 35. But I mean, your body I feel like once you hit 29, 30, I've started feeling it in my body quite a bit. And it was it was the right time to get out. I have no regrets about getting out when I did, but it was tough at the time.
It's like when you turn, 29, 30, you got to start getting WD-40 just to get the little straw and just like inject it into the knees and the ankles to get them lubricated first. Right. And then you got to, an hour and a half to warm up. And then once you play a game, your body the next day is just like, what did you do? Why? Like your body's like, do you hate me?
Right. When I was in Ukraine the season before Lithuania, I was in Ukraine 2014 when they had the uprising revolution. The president was ousted. I was in Kiev right there, so it was unbelievable. And Kiev was an awesome city. We loved it there. But I was, before the last 3 months of the year, before I even got out of bed, I was taping my feet for plantar fasciitis.
Man.
So every day for like 3 months before I even got out of bed, that was the first thing I did every day.
Plantar fasciitis is the worst.
Yeah,
it's awful, man. I can only imagine how. I experienced it twice. I partially tore mine, and I just dealt with it one time when it was really bad. Gosh, man, Lee, man, it's been a blessing having you on the show. I can't wait to connect with you now that I'm here in Jacksonville. I'm moving over to the town center area.
Okay.
My birthday is on the 1st. If you would like, I'm having a group for Top Golf on Monday from 7 to 9, I think, just a few hours, just something small. I don't want to make my 29th a huge thing. I just want to be around some of my friends, have a few drinks, eat some food, beat people in Top Golf, and if you're more than welcome to come. It'd be great to see you. But anyways, I'm here. I'm so thankful for this time to connect and to get a little window into your life. Very small. I can't wait to hear more. Hopefully we can connect more now that I'm here in Jackson, man. So
golf course,
you got me. Hit me up anytime. My dad, he coaches over at Brentwood, just a little 9-hole course on the north side. So if you want to ever run through there, or Jack's Beach, have you played Jack's Beach yet?
Yeah.
Man,
Jack's Beach. I don't know. I played a Jack's Beach course a long time ago, so maybe.
It's off of you're on is it off of Beach Boulevard in Penman? You know where Angie Subs is?
Oh yeah, I know. I've played that course. Yeah.
Okay, it's nice. There's around 4 o'clock. There's probably about 40 to 50 people on the range.
Wow.
Yeah. Just because they redid the course, and the greens are extremely fast. I go there every Thursday around like 4:45. I have a group of like 6 guys that are like 60 years old and up that we just have a putting a $5 putting contest every Thursday. Just old guys just talking crap to me, the whole time, trying to get in my head, man. It's a good time, and you get a chance to get a little bit better as well. So
nice.
Yeah, man, I love the game. That's my new competitive edge has shifted over more so into golf.
Okay, well, you can play that till you're 75. So
exactly. Hopefully it'd be great playing at 75, shooting a 75. Wouldn't that be a dream?
Yeah, that would be nice. I'm nowhere close, so.
it's all good. Anyways, Lee, man, thank you so much for your time. You blessed me. You blessed the people that are going to listen to this. Hope you have continue to have a great 2021. Continue to practice gratitude and spreading that kindness and that great smile you got around the rest of the world. I'll catch you later, my guy. You have a good one.
All right. Thanks, Pat. Hey, you too. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, for sure. All right, buddy.
All right. See ya.
Have a good night. And that was the show. Thank you guys so much for jumping in. What a great time to converse with Lee Humphrey, hearing about his life, his experiences, his adversity, his challenges, the way that he grew, the way that he knew his team was going to be so special. Again, thank you guys so much for chiming in. Such a fun journey being able to host this podcast and get into some meat, get into some great college basketball stories. Because a lot of times as sports fans, we watch the games, but we don't know the people and their stories and what they've gone through to become who they are. At the end of the day, they're just normal people, just like the rest of us. But thank you guys again so much for sharing this podcast. The reviews have been such a blessing and heartwarming for me. Continue to share and subscribe to this podcast. Also, the Field of 68 Media Network, you can find them on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter. And I'll let you guys leave. Last thing I'm going to leave you with, Gator Nation, stay rowdy.